Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Hey, if you liked the video, click that like button and click subscribe so that you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. Appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone. Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. I want to do a real quick video for you today about something that we're going to use in several videos. Going to make a collection of videos starting from the beginning with this this gun and going through putting on the different accessories we want to have to set the gun up the way that I want it. This gun, it's not a new gun. These guns have been out since about 2011 or 12, I do believe. But they've been really hard to find at a reasonable price. For a time, they were up around $1,100, $1,200, $1,300. Finally got a chance to do some trading and get around and get a hold of one of them. It's took me forever to be able to find one and get it at a price that was reasonable to me to get. And the gun I'm talking about is a Keltec KSG 12 gauge. Now it's a pump action. It's a very unique gun for two reasons. Number one, it's a bullpup configuration, which that means that the chamber is all the way back here. That all the receiver and everything's back here, and the barrel comes all the way to here. It's got an 18.5-inch barrel, so it's a legal barrel. It's not an SBR, but it's being in that bullpup configuration. You got an 18.5-inch barrel with an overall length of only 26.1 inches. That's amazing. That's a lot of gun in a little space. And of course it's from Keltec, so it's going to have a lot of composite parts. The whole lower is composite. The slide is all composite. The rail that's on it is all composite. But, you know, I mean, all Keltecs, that's what you get. You get a lot of composite stuff. That's what these guys are known for, is to build guns that are not just outside the box. They tear the box up and use it to start a fire in the heating stove. They come up with stuff that nobody else has even come close to, and then all of a sudden all the other industry tends to jump in bed behind them, which will happen with this gun. After they come out with this gun, I think Ruger come out with something kind of close to this. I know Smith & Wesson did, and they're all good guns, but the birth of them come from the KSG. And of course there's a lot of people that talk bad about the KSG. Some of the earlier ones that come out did have a few feed problems, and there was even some folks that had this lower Picatinny rail break when they were racking the slide pretty hard, and their grip flew off and their hand went up in front of the bore, and when they discharged the weapon, a couple of people lost a finger. So, but now the newer ones are made much more robust in that area, and that's not an issue now. But what we want to talk about is what the gun is from buttstock to muzzle. Okay, what you have is you get a rubber recoil pad. It's not super needed. I mean, the gun's got a little bit of recoil that you might need a recoil pad if you're going to shoot a lot of 3-inch Magnum slugs or really heavy loads, the ones with the barrel on the box. If it's got a barrel on the box, believe me when I say this, it's going to hurt. I don't care what you got behind it. But anyway, but it comes with a small recoil pad, and the buttstock to me and the cheek area reminds me of the I think it's B5 is what those stocks and foregrips are. I can't remember. It's one that's on my AR. I'd have to look, but that profile, that slanted profile on both sides, is a lot like that. It reminds me of a whole lot, and it gives you a really good. You get a real good cheek weld because it's kind of matched to the angle of your chin when you go to put it up, and it gives you can get the gun good in on your face. And I think what that's going to end up doing, it's going to allow a lot more freedom of what kind of sight you're going to be using on this. If it's going to be iron sights, if it's going to be a red dot, if you're going to put both on it, and that way you can have the iron sights as co-witness if something happens and your red dot goes down or the battery's dead or something. And that's probably going to be somewhat of how I'm going to go with it. If I'm still not made up my mind, but that's probably how I'm going to go. The unique part of this is that the other unique part is this has two feed tubes. Okay, there's a feed tube here and there's a feed tube here. You can see it better right there. There's a feed tube on this side and there's a feed tube on this side. So when you load it, you can load both those feed tubes, and if you're loading standard 2 3/4 inch shells, you can put 7 in each tube, puts one in the, and plus 1 in the chamber. So you're 15 rounds of 2 3/4 inch of anything you want to run through it, whether you want to run birdshot, if you want to run buckshot, if you want to run slugs, if you want to run jungles. I would not recommend anybody to run jungles in this thing, because if you do, you're going to crush yourself shooting it, and anything that's on the other side of the wall you're shooting that with, probably going to not have a good day. But we'll discuss that later. But the cool thing about it is you can get the short shells, the mini shells that are made by Aguila or Federal, or you could even reload them yourself, and you can get 22 plus 1. Guys, that's 23 rounds of 12 gauge ammunition, and you can get these in buckshot or slug, or load them the way you want to load them with whatever you want to put in them, and 23 shots and never have to reload with a 12 gauge. If you have an intruder in your house and that won't do the business, guess what? That intruder is not human. It's a Terminator, and you should have run at the beginning. But anyway, so the unique thing about it is, one of the unique things about it is those feed tubes. It has a lever here that is a selector switch that you move back and forth from one side to the other, that tells you which tube you're going to run out of this. So because you get a selection of which tube you're going to run out of, not only does that give you freedom to come up on more ammo quickly if you run one tube empty, but it also gives you the opportunity, I guess, that you could do it if that's what you wanted to do, and say put birdshot or buckshot in one side and slugs in the other side. You know, I don't know if it's a situation that you're going to use this for a life and liberty weapon, that there may be something going on. Somebody comes in your house and you don't want to be shooting slugs in the house and endanger everybody in the house while you're trying to engage whatever's in the house it shouldn't be, and then have slugs in the other tube, so that if something happens outside and you need more range, maybe, then you could load slugs in the other tube. That might be something you might consider, but it would cause you to have conscious thought all the time about when you're going to use this weapon, exactly which tube do I need to use. So that's something you need to think about. It has crossbar safety, you know, very simple safety. It's very easy to reach, and it's ambidextrous. You can use it on both sides. It has a pretty good, I like the trigger in this gun. It's a tactical trigger. It's not going to have, let's let you hear the reset. Okay, and then you come up on a wall when you hit the trigger, and the trigger has a kind of a slightly downward motion instead of a straight back. So you'll hit a little wall, there's a little take up, not a lot, and then it has a surprisingly crisp break. For a tactical trigger, it really has a really nice break. It's not a bump up against it and then you kind of have to push it over the edge. You come to the edge and then it just drops off. So it has a really nice trigger. I like that. And you have ambidextrous slide release on this. You can get to it on both sides. So if you're lefty or righty, and it's very easy to reach. I got all kinds of room there. I can reach it no problem with never leaving my hand off of the pistol grip. It's real easy to reach, real simple to operate, and that's a pretty neat feature, whether you're lefty or righty. And the cool thing about this gun is that it does really adapt to left or right-handed shooters, whereas most pump shotguns, even if it's got some controls on it that are ambidextrous, if you got a side eject, one of the two of the handed people, left or right-handed, is going to have to deal with the shells when they come out hitting you when you eject them. With this gun, they eject straight down, so you don't have that to worry about. Either hand, you're going to be just fine, because it's going to eject the shell straight down. It does have a 12-inch Picatinny rail on top and a 6-inch Picatinny rail on the bottom. So you're going to have all kinds of areas to put whatever you want. If you want to put lights, lasers, pistol grip, if you want to put a scope, red dot, iron sights, whatever you want to put on there, you got all kinds of area for Picatinny to put stuff on. So that's a good deal. Takedown of this gun is very, very simple. I'll do a video of it. Probably the next video I do will show the field strip of it. It's easy to take off. It's got pins just like an AR that push out, and then everything just kind of pops apart, except for if you're going to take the slide and stuff off, you got to take these nuts, these bolts that are in the front of the feed tubes, and you can take a quarter or something and turn those out, but there's a specific way you need to do it so stuff don't get binded, and in the video of the takedown I'll explain that. It, like I said, does have 18.5-inch barrel, so it is not a SBR. You don't have to worry about that. And like I say, it's a pretty neat shotgun. You know, I mean, for the amount of rounds that it carries, if you set this thing up the proper way with the proper stuff to put on it, this gun's going to make a really good gun for home defense, you know, personal protection, life and liberty, SHTF. You know, I mean, if you got to grab stuff and go, this would be probably in my top 2 or 3 guns to get a hold of, and that's why I've been trying so long to get a hold of one of them. Because number one, you carry so much ammo, but you can also, the unique thing about it is the ammo that's on board right then, you can set this up to where you can have several different types of ammo in the gun or on the gun, because you can buy a saddle and stick on this and it'll give you 7 more rounds on each side sitting there. So you could literally keep slugs, buckshot, birdshot, bolo rounds, fascettes, dragon's breath, whatever you wanted to keep, you could keep on board. And the cool thing about this selector switch is you can set it to the middle, and when you work the slide, all it'll do is just eject what's in the chamber. It won't load one back because that cuts off the feed from both of the tubes, and you could literally just reach up inside there with the kind of rounds you want. If you wanted the dragon's breath to start a fire or whatever you wanted to do, then you could just close it up and flip it over to what you want to be the next round of feed, fire that round off that you just put in that you was going to use, and you're ready to go again with whichever side you selected. So it's a really, but it's going to, like I say, it's going to cause a lot of conscious thought, and maybe under pressure that'd be hard to handle for a lot of people. But if you could keep it in your mind, it would be something that would be really good to be able to do in a situation where it was, you know, life and death. You could, this gun becomes a tool that will do very, very many jobs. Now the thing we're going to look at when I start putting on accessories is, number one is going to be the very first thing we're going to change is going to be the selector switch. Okay, the selector switch, they make a selector switch that is longer, so you don't have to kind of put your thumb back there and switch it over, or don't have to come off the gun to move the piece over. You can just flick your wrist and switch it from one side to the other. The next thing we're going to work on with this gun is what kind of foregrip we're going to put on this. I'm going to have 4 things that has to be in a foregrip if I'm going to use it on a personal defense weapon. Number one, it will not be polymer. It has to be machined aluminum. I don't want to take no chances of something breaking or something to that effect. It needs to be a solid piece. I don't want the polymer foregrips, the little ones you can buy for $5 or $6 off of Amazon. Don't get me wrong, there is some good ones on Amazon, and as a matter of fact, the one I get for this will probably come from Amazon. Number 2 thing it's got to have, it must have a light. And there is a point to this light. This light will have to have a easy on-off switch, not to have to stay constant on. It's going to have some kind of button on it that I can use that light, and when I let off of that button, the light goes off. Because if you got a light and you just can turn it on or off, it's only good to you if it's turned on, and anything and everything that's in the house knows that light's on when you got it turned on. I don't want that. I don't want my position given away. If I'm in a situation that I need to see what's coming, then that means I don't want them to see what's where I am. So whenever I'm going to look in an area where I'm trying to see if they're there, I'm going to put that light on. As soon as I see the issue, whether it's there or not there, then that light goes back off, so my position is not given away. Number 3, this light's going to have a laser on it. Now, y'all going to laugh, some of you might, when you're lasering on a shotgun. Let me tell you something, that thing will help you a lot if you've got that. That is one thing that you can still stay concealed and use. Okay, so that laser, it'll be important later down when we're talking about this thing. Okay, and the 4th thing that I want it to have a strobe. okay, that strobe light is very, very handy. They work, especially if a situation where it's nighttime in your house. If you think somebody's in your house, you don't want to go through the house turning the lights on, because if you go through the house turning the lights on, you're kind of telling whoever's in the house, okay, he just came through the kitchen, he flipped the light on. Okay, now he's in the living room, he flipped the light on in there, and that person knows where you are and the direction you're traveling, so they can wait on you. I don't want to turn no lights on. I want to leave them in the dark just as long as I can till I can find out where they're at. Okay, so the next thing we're going to put on after we get all that done is we're going to put on a muzzle device. Keltec actually makes a muzzle device to go on these that has the ability to take rim tubes, so you could put in different choke tubes. So you could, again, make this gun a much more versatile gun by putting in a tight choke tube, and if you had to, in a bad situation, use this gun to hunt small game with, or even leave the open bore choke on it and shoot slugs and deer hunt with it. And then on the bottom down here, I'm going to take these two bolts out that's on the end of the tubes, and I'm going to replace them with bayonet spikes. M-Carbo makes some really cool looking bayonet spikes that are made out of machined aluminum, and they're about 2.5 to 3 inches long, and they'll come out just a little bit longer than the choke tube adapter. And those will make something good that if you're going to have to breach open a door, you could stab them into the door, so you'll have a good hold on the gun when you're going to be busting that lock, and you don't have to worry about moving. And so that'll be the thing we put on. Now, the last thing I'm going to put on, and it's certainly not the most important, is a sling setup. This thing has, on both sides, right here and right here, it does have a place for you to snap a sling on. Now, after I put the choke adapter on there and those spikes, then I'm going to have about this much space out front where the muzzle's going to be, so it's not quite as dangerous. But right now, at this moment, snapping into those would be a little close to the muzzle, so you'd have to really pay attention to what you were doing. And then on the back end, I wish they would have had some quick connects on this, but they don't. So it's just a way to put the strap on, just holes that you can put your strap through and tie to. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. I may try to come up with something that I engineer myself that I can put on there and bolt it to it, because I do have a couple of quick disconnect fittings, but they're M-lock. So, but if I can come up with screws that are long enough to where I can go all the way through that, then we can make that work, and I might do that. I just have to see how it's going to go and what I think about it, if it's strong enough and it's reliable. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching this video and staying with me for as long as you did. I don't want to keep you no longer than I have to, but I just wanted to show you we got something new to play with. The Keltec KSG 12 gauge. We'll see y'all in the next video. This is Fat Man. I hope to see you out there somewhere. I'm gone.